South Africa assumed the G20 presidency in 2025, preceding the US in 2026. And now, as part of that conversation, there's a number of streams that are taking place around us. But we need to talk a little bit about first, what am I talking about? What is this G20 presidency? And then we'll start delving in. We have two stream leads that are part of this conversation, but with the values 20 portion of the G20 work that is being done. So there's a plenty, I think. So I don't know anything. And that's kind of like why we are here, right? Welcome, lady and gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's great to be here with my colleague, Alex. Yeah. I think, Alex, before you get off stage on the intro, mention your recent celebration.
Thank you. I've been working on my PhD for quite a number of years, and I'm excited to have completed it, and I'm scheduled to graduate in September. So all of us are I'm certainly excited about that, arriving at that point.
Yeah. Congratulations. That is actually more than congratulations, because we know how much work actually goes into that. So it's Dr. Alex Matole for your information. Congratulations.
Soon to be. Thank you. Thank you.
So welcome. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about this G20, V20, living the values. Give us a bit of a context around this work. First of all, what is the G20 and what is then the V20 in the context of the G20?
It is evident from the 2024 report from the United Nations that strategic sustainable development goals have been missed. The targets were globally, and each country would be at a certain place by 2030. But you look at rising global inequality, you look at the climate crisis, you look at environmental degradation, and you look even at the levels of poverty that are still there, and it says to us there have been challenges across different dimensions to achieve the change that was required. So the conversation really has been around what have been the disablers, some of the thinking, what have been the disablers for nation states suddenly arriving at a certain stage. And one of those is around values. You see, values inform decisions.
What has been done? Okay, maybe let me ask it differently, because it's nice to talk about these values and all of that in this context. But what's happening that's practical that I would see as someone who lives in South Africa or even on this continent?
So in partnership with industry, business schools, as Alex mentioned, and civil society, Nelson Mandela Foundation, for example, we are hosting multiple segments of national engagements, from dialogues to mini summits to engagement sessions to talk about, like we're doing now with Vuka Online Radio, to say we're focused on solidarity, equality, and sustainable development. These three areas. The idea is to actively engage the population.
What are the aspirations of South Africans? I don't know. One of the things I've noticed is that at some point in 1994, we got freedom. And then everything is supposed to be fantastic after that. So when we say the Constitution should represent the aspirations of the people, what are you guys funding as a research? I know it's still early days, so this is a very tough question, but what are you guys finding as the aspiration of the South African people?
Before even, Dr. Mongeze, to talk to the aspirations of the people,
yes,
what is emerging, certainly from part of the research,
yes,
is that equity says, based on equity is contextual. So equity then says, whilst we are created equal and we're equal, circumstances and context require that we deal with situations differently, not because of inherent intrinsic value of people, no, but because we need to be able to consider the context, the nature of the issues that we're dealing with. So in the South African context, therefore, you have to look at South Africa's history and say, yes, we are created equal, but our history necessitates that we confront the prejudice and injustices on the past, and that we have a mechanism to rebase. So I think that kind of is equality and equity is about rebasing.
Dr. Vuka, may I jump in there?
Go ahead.
This is very, very important. Thank you, Alex, for mentioning that.
So what gives you guys the gall to think you can do it in like a whole country?
This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.